episode 88 of DevTalk, I speak to Romano Roth about the state of DevOps. Welcome to another episode of DevTalk. My name is Kerry and today's guest is Romano Roth. Romano is a colleague of mine. He works in our office in Zurich, Switzerland. He's chief of DevOps and partner at Zulka. He's also, you might know him, he's a conference organizer. He organizes the DevOps days in Zurich and also a DevOps meetup in Zurich. And whenever we think DevOps in the company, we think of Romano, and that's why I have him on the call today. Hello, Romano.
Hi, thanks for having me here.
Thank you for being my guest today. We met years ago. We both have been at the company. I think you already beat the 20-year mark, right?
Yeah, I'm now since 21 years at
21.
Zulka.
Yeah. Okay. I just made 15 years at the beginning of this month. So you've been here a long time. We know each other from back when you were just a .NET developer, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And through the years, we've seen you move into this DevOps space. Well, I guess when we first met, that was not a thing.
No, not at all at that point.
We did have continuous integration and things like that, but we didn't call it DevOps at least. And you made the move towards DevOps, and I would like to start with, so this term is so vague and so ambiguous. A lot of people have something completely different in their head when they think of this term. What is DevOps to you?
For me, DevOps is a mindset, a culture, and a set of technical practices, which allows us to continuously deliver value and bring all the people, all the technology, and all the methodology together so that we can continuously deliver value to our clients. So that's what the core of DevOps is for me.
Okay, that was a lot to unpack. So I was most surprised about the mindset. What is that? Or can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. When we talk about that mindset, it has a lot to do with how we go along in the project. So what we want to achieve, and the mindset part is an interesting part, because when you look nowadays how we do projects, then usually we sort of have the mindset of bringing as much output as possible to the client. So it's all about maximizing the number of features, maximizing the number of user stories, code, and so on. And when you have that DevOps mindset, you think in products. It's more about the outcome that we want to achieve. So we bring the user or the client into the center, and we want to continuously deliver value to him, and we want to solve the problem that this customer has, or we want to change the behavior of that customer, which means we don't want to implement the 10 features. We want to implement that one feature that is good for the customer, and we want to bring him a very good service so that he or she really likes our product. That's sort of the mindset part.
Okay, and this is not, so we're both in a consulting company. You're not talking about our customer, but you're talking about the actual user of the product then?
Exactly. It's all about the user of the product or the service.
Okay, and when we both met first, was there something like this, or what? Did we have a different name for it, or is this something that has come up after that?
It's a quite funny thing. When we look back, when we were young, in the year 2000 and so, where there was barely internet out there. When we look back at that time, people were working exactly in a DevOps operating model, and also had that DevOps mindset, in my opinion. Because when you look at then, you had small teams which did project management, which did requirements engineering, which did testing, which did the development, and also did the operation. So it was really everything was in that team, and there were no silos and there were no wall of confusions. But then what happened is things get more complicated, and the companies said, okay, we now need to scale up that whole software development, and we need to create sort of teams that take care about requirements engineering, that take care about testing, that take care about project management. And then the silos were introduced. And the problem is now the value does not flow through these silos. It really is more like throwing things over the wall of confusion to the other people, and therefore we have a lot of problems with exactly that.
Okay, and I'm trying to think of what DevOps encapsulates. So let's start. Let's go through the different parts of creating a successful project. Let's start is gathering requirements, writing user stories. Is that already DevOps?
Yes, of course. When you look at DevOps, then DevOps is nothing else than modern software development, just between us. It is about bringing all the people together, and DevOps really starts right at the beginning. So, for example, if the business has a bright idea, we start already there by doing DevOps, because not all ideas are worth going into a project. So there we want in a DevOps world, we want to identify the hypothesis behind the idea, and we really want to understand what is the problem we are trying to solve for the customer. And when we have identified the hypothesis, we think about, okay, how can we measure the success of this hypothesis by using leading indicators? So here now also comes measure into play. And when we have that, then we go into the next stage where we say, okay, now we understand the hypothesis, but is this hypothesis really something that solves the problem? So now we are going into UX, and we go to the customer, and we ask them questions to really identify, are we really trying to solve the right problem, or is it completely something else? And when we have done that, then we define the minimal amount of architecture which is needed to build such a product, only the minimal amount of architecture, so that we can continuously deliver value. Then, of course, we break down the whole thing into features and into user stories, and we go into the development of that. And also there, we concentrate on how can we continuously test that what we are building, and how can we continuously also operate that. So it's all about architecting for testability, architecting for operability, and also developing in that way. And then when we have the product, we of course build up the continuous delivery pipeline. We have the staging environment and also the production environment. And then we continuously measure if this hypothesis that we defined is really true. And if not, then we decide what we can do or how we can adapt. And this is the whole cycle of DevOps, the infinity symbol.
So measuring, do you mean you go to the user and ask them, or try it out, or how do you measure?
There are two types, quantitative and qualitative. Of course, in the DevOps world, we use quite a lot of quantitative measurements, which means we measure, for example, how many people, for example, have bought something, or how many people are going to the website. Of course, also the thing is right in the beginning, I said we need to identify the leading indicators, and the leading indicators are the things we really want to measure. But of course, we not only measure the business value, we will also measure, of course, some application telemetry and so on, so that the service is really up and running. It's also about measuring the non-functional requirements and also the SLIs.
Okay. back when I was a .NET developer. Well, I actually still are. But you used to use TFS, and somehow it got rebranded into Azure DevOps. Somehow this name change of the one of the technologies I use daily has influenced my thinking of what DevOps means, and um, it's a software that brings together a lot of different things into one place. I don't think it should be called Azure because we use it locally, but I think DevOps is a good term here because, well, the development part is in there. Then there's the testing, the deployment, the operations can be in there, and you can measure in there.
Also, the planning is also in there.
Planning, right? So it brings things together. Is that DevOps, or do you think it's a good term?
Uh, well, I don't know. I think it's sort of a marketing term, but
Sure.
Sure, as Azure DevOps, when you look at that, yes, it has sort of all of the components which are needed to continuously deliver a product. So yes, you can call that, of course, also a tool which enables you to do DevOps. But when you look at it, there is still more tools needed than you have in Azure DevOps. For example, if you want to do devsecops, which is development, security, and operation, where you continuously check security, then of course you need other tools need to come into play. For example, when you want to do SaaS or container scanning and so on, you need to combine a lot of things. But Azure DevOps is a good starting platform to do DevOps.
Okay. And do you think a tool is essential when you want to do DevOps right, or could you do this completely without anything?
A very good question. Look, when we look at the tooling and when we look at what we are doing, is we want to create great products, and in the end, we want to do that continuously. This means you are sort of like a small factory, like a digital factory, where you have sort of a conveyance belt which continuously runs and people are working on things. And you want to automate things. So the tooling is essential when you are doing DevOps, of course, but it is not the main part. Of course, when we talk about DevOps, many people always think about we need the tool, but it's much more. It's also about that mindset and also about the culture which you need.
Okay. And when I think DevOps, I was thinking about a well-oiled CI/CD system. Is that something that's essential? Automation is what flows into that?
Automation is essential. What we need to look at is there is quite a lot of complexity when you are doing software development, and also there is nowadays quite a lot of cognitive load on the people to know a lot of tools. So yes, it is essential to have a platform which takes a little bit away the cognitive load so that you can focus on delivering the features. So this is, of course, an essential part, but much more essential and much more difficult is the mindset and the culture part. When we talk about the mindset and the culture, it's about having that lean flow. It means that we, as I said, identify the hypothesis and we also break down features. We make small experiments that we are able also to have smaller batch sizes, or also what is very important, to align ourselves across the value stream, which means that we need to reorganize ourselves in the value stream, which means we need to bring the people together that work on the project, and we need to give them a budget so that they can be constant and work constantly on that product. And this is a massive cultural change, because now you are going to enable the people to do the work, and you give them the power to make decisions. It's also going into the direction of having self-organized teams which build great products.
Okay, and we're both at a consulting company. That means we don't have any own products. We don't. Well, we're not responsible for a product, but we help other companies, and it's probably is it your job to bring this mindset into other companies, and is that a challenge?
Oh yeah, it's a massive challenge. Look, what you can see, and yes, definitely, it is my job. Usually, I'm involved in agile transformation and DevOps transformations. Now, the thing is, one of the first questions I always ask my clients is, "What would you like to achieve?" And this is quite a difficult question because the answers vary very much, and usually companies have not a real vision what they really want to achieve. They just heard, yeah, that DevOps thing is cool. Let's do a little bit of DevOps. And when you then dig deeper and look at what problem do you really want to solve, then usually you find out that the companies would like to have a better quality, they would like to have a faster time to market, and they would like to be more efficient, so achieve more with less money. And here, of course, DevOps can help, but I usually also show them that you need to change a lot of things. You need to change the culture, the mindset. And of course, you also need to introduce some tools potentially to do that. But the bigger part is the changes that you do to the company, to the organizational structure, and also to the culture and to the mindset. And that's quite a big part. And these companies need to be aware that this also comes with some costs and effort that you need to bring in so that you really can achieve that.
I'm thinking about, sometimes we get companies, they're really good at making this one device or this one tool, and then suddenly they they get put into position maybe by the competition to well, they have to have this thing that they're building connected, right? And uh, from their history, they don't do software development. They make some like typically, for example, in the Swabian region in Germany, there are all these little companies. They're really good, and they're world leading in making this one thing, but software is not on their list, or they maybe have some internal tools or something, but it's not what they do. And if I think about what's needed to make good software nowadays, it's such a big list. I mean, we've been in this industry for years. We know, we've learned this stuff over time. With this additional thing comes, and then something else comes, and we still have to know all the old stuff. Have you been in a situation where you come to this company and basically anything you tell them is new to them?
Yeah, I had that also. And as I said, it is a journey. And yeah, it's not all hope is lost if you don't have that. I mean, what you usually do is you assess the client, and you then look what is already there and what's not there, and what do we want to achieve. And as you said, yeah, there is quite a lot of things you can use. I also have a slide with all the things you could do,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't need to. And here, the important thing is always to ask, what would you like to achieve? And here, when you look at the book Accelerate, which is the science behind DevOps, then they have looked at what you need to have. And um, there are some very interesting correlations between some of the things you can implement, and you definitely don't need to implement everything. So
Okay.
one of the important things you need to do is identify what kind of software delivery performance you would like to achieve in your case. So when we talk about software delivery performance, we of course talk about the lead time, the change failure rate, the deployment frequency, and the mean time to recovery. And it is important to use these metrics and also to identify what you would like to achieve. Do you want to be on the elite part, which is, in my opinion, not every time given? So most of the time, you don't need to deploy to production every minute or every 15 minutes. Usually, it's completely okay if you do that daily or in a 2-day cycle. And this is a conversation you need to have with the clients, and then you can also identify what kind of things you need to implement so that you can continuously deliver value.
Yeah, okay. I'm surprised by the numbers you just said because, I mean, not all projects are in a situation where they can deploy often. Like I do a lot of mobile projects, and if you send a release to the App Store every 15 minutes, they're not going to be happy. The users aren't going to be happy. Um, so you have to plan that in advance. Yeah.
Exactly, but also there is quite an important thing because when we talk about deployment, we always need to distinguish between deployment and release. And this is also one of the technical practices which we have in DevOps. A deployment is when you bring new code into production, but with the feature toggle off. And a release is switching on the feature toggle. So this means when you are going to, for example, put a new version into the App Store, usually this is related to we are releasing something. In the backend, the new code can already be there, or also the APIs can already be there, while, for example, the mobile app does not yet have that functionality.
Okay. And yeah, well, the constant delivery that almost implies this is in the cloud or it's web, and there are other cases like you deliver Microsoft Word. You can't do it all the time. Well, I guess there's a web version of that, and you could just add features on the fly. Yeah. Where do you see DevOps heading to? Are we going to find a new name for it in the future? Is it going to be more, or is it going to decline? I really, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah. Uh, Me either, but in my opinion, so when I look at the glass ball, then I would say when you look at Agile and also Scrum and they're like, many people said, hey, all of the companies will be Agile in some years. And we started the Agile journey roughly in the year 2000, and we are not yet there. So in my opinion, the same thing will be true for DevOps. This is a very long journey where we are going through. So DevOps will be there. Also, the term DevOps is quite misleading and not well chosen. I think we will see other names. There is, for example, also platform engineering, which is sort of a name, or devsecops, BizDevOps, and all the like. There are quite a lot of names around, but
Yeah.
DevOps will be still there. Now, when we look at that, in my opinion, what we are entering right now is the age of industrialization of software development. When you look at, for example, Kubernetes, then it brings in quite a lot of standardization out of the box. So we will see more and more standardization so that the people can focus on the software development, and you will see the rise of platforms which enable people to do DevOps. So in my opinion, we are going now into the direction where many companies will build up digital factories where people are working in these digital factories to continuously deliver their products. And the conveyor belts of these digital factories will be platforms, which are built by a platform team doing platform engineering, and they enable these product teams to do DevOps in the end. So this is, in my opinion, the direction which we are heading.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about one of the current trends, artificial intelligence, machine learning. Do you see that having an impact? I think it's going to have an impact on actual development, or it already is having an impact. Like there was ChatGPT 4 was released yesterday, and they showed like you have a scribble of what the website looks like, and you give it that scribble, and it creates the website for you. Which is really impressive. But I'm trying to think, where could this help along the whole cycle of DevOps sub practices?
Yeah, absolutely. AI will help, and it's already helping. When you look nowadays, despite ChatGPT, what you have is AI ops. You see that in quite a lot of tools as a label, AI ops. But what they are doing is solving a very interesting problem. Nowadays, when you look at our application, usually you have multiple microservice services, whatever, and multiple user interfaces on top. And all of these services and user interface and databases, they need to be monitored. And when you are monitoring that, you have quite a lot of log files, telemetry data that comes out of that, which means you have huge amounts of data. So at one client that I have, there we generate roughly 16 terabytes of data every day. And now now you have a big data problem. Mm-hmm. And when you have a big data problem, AI can help, and for pattern matching, and they are using exactly an AI to do the pattern matching so that we can identify problem areas and also do root cause analysis. And there are great products out there which can help you, and this is where AI helps, so in the whole operation of your software, but I'm also pretty sure in the whole development and everywhere it will help us.
I'm thinking, I mean, of course, parsing logs, that's one possible task, but I'm thinking it could tell you if your software is getting better or worse, not just by counting the number of errors in the log, but also by what we would call common sense, right? That computers are starting to get this previously only human feature, and yeah, I wonder, and yeah, it's moving so fast at this moment. I don't think we're going to be able to anticipate anything correctly.
Yeah. But it's quite awesome what you can do, and I'm pretty sure we will see a lot of things coming to us. In my opinion, also when you look at the whole AI stuff, you will always need to sort of operate something. And at the moment, all of the examples that we are having is, let's say, when you look at the DevOps cycle, the infinity symbol, they are more in the planning and building stuff, but there is not much which helps you, for example, releasing, monitoring, deploying, and so on. And I think AI will help us also there, and we will see quite a lot of tools and AIs coming up, which will enable us to do a better job there.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, looking forward to it, and it's such exciting times. Artificial intelligence, but also DevOps, I think it's really exciting at this point, where it will lead. So thank you for your insights, Romano. And yeah, like I said, you're the go-to person for the topic. So thank you for sharing this with the world.
Thank you also for having me.
This has been another episode of DevTalk, and we'll see each other again next time. Bye-bye.